Okay, so I am finally going to get to review the BMW S1000RR. This is a Gen 2 2013 model with the Tyco Isle of Man livery, and so yeah, I will give you my thoughts. So what can I tell you about this? Well, first and foremost, that sound is so addictive. But it feels really easy to throw around. It doesn't feel unstable. Like sometimes you jump on a bike and initially you don't have that feeling of stability, but certainly on this bike I feel like I can just jump on it and ride it. Like there's no, it doesn't feel as though I need like a honeymoon period, you know, to get used to it. Oh bloody hell, road closure. Yeah, bloody road closures. Anyway, what was I saying? So the sound is amazing. That goes without saying. Pops and bangs on every gear change, crackles on the overrun. It feels comfortable. It feels like really stable. The suspension feels good. I mean, I'm talking about this bike in particular, right? Because when it comes to suspension, obviously that could be different for every bike, depending on how the suspension is set up. But certainly on this one, it feels really, you feel at home. Like you feel as though you just want to ride it. You just want to hit the twisties and have some fun on it, you know. But it's not uncomfortable at slow speeds either. Certainly no more than most other sports bikes. So living with a bike like this, I imagine, would be relatively easy as long as you're fit and healthy and agile. But yeah, I'll be able to give you a much better understanding of what it feels like when we get out of these suburbs, when we find out where this bloody diversion is taking us. It feels really stable. It feels like I don't have any confidence issues, and I have ridden this once before, very briefly, but never really in anger. But oh yes, the acceleration is awesome. It's brutal. I am, like I say, I'm in race mode. I started off in sport mode, which is just normal really. I think it's rain, sport, race and then slick. But so far so good. Do you know what? I am surprised how easy this bike is to ride. Despite the fact that, yeah, it will catch you out if you're not careful, of course it will, but it is quite easy to ride. I genuinely think that the Gen 2 S1K would be fairly intuitive to ride for most people, but you know, most people would be able to get on with this bike, I think. As I say, this is the second time I've ridden it, but the first time was only very briefly. And it just feels really intuitive. It doesn't pull your arms out of your socket. It has the capability of doing that, but if you're smooth with the throttle, then it is relatively predictable. I can see why a lot of people like these. I mean, when BMW bought this bike out, I think when they released it in 2009, it was so divisive because of its styling and its asymmetric headlights. But it was a very bold move by BMW, but it worked for them, you know. It was a good move, and Some people liked it, some people hated it. I like it. I think it is awesome. I think it looks fantastic. I'm struggling to find any downsides, to be honest. I really am. I haven't been on the bike long enough to know if there's any disadvantages to this bike over its competitors or over the Fireblade. I certainly can't think of anything at the moment to criticise the bike, except maybe that it doesn't have a blipper. You know, I think with the way that BMW are with technology, maybe it should have a blipper. Maybe that's one thing that will polish it. It is of course very different from the Fireblade, but it's not unmanageable. You know, the power, it's got a lot more power than the Fireblade. It's got about 20 more horsepower than the Fireblade, but it's not overly aggressive in the way that it delivers that power, even in race mode. It doesn't feel uncomfortable compared to the Blade. It's relatively comfortable, albeit a slightly different position with the pegs that are fitted, and as I say, the handlebars are wider, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable. And I want to know how this bike behaves when you're really pushing it, and I'd love to try slick mode, but I'm not going to do that because it turns off all the electronic aids. But yeah, it is a bike that I would get used to. Put it this way, if someone said to me now, you have to get a second bike, and you've got, I don't know, $7 grand to spend, what would you get? This would certainly be on my list. So anyway, yeah, while I was riding this earlier, I was trying to make sense of what I was experiencing, you know. But I think I was a little bit dazzled, because yeah, I can very easily fall in love with this bike. The riding position is really manageable because of the bars being a little bit wider than the Fireblade, although the pegs are a little bit higher, so that I can understand if after a while you start getting a bit of cramp in the legs. Nothing that a set of aftermarket rear sets wouldn't fix. The suspension feels plush, it feels stable, and whether that's just a characteristic of the S1000 or whether it's the fact that this suspension is set up pretty well, or a combination of both, I'm not sure. The brakes feel good. You don't really need much movement on the lever before the brakes give you lots of confidence. Yeah, it's just, I don't think I would have any problems at all getting used to this bike very quickly. Right, let's see what it feels like under some proper acceleration.